everyone, hope you're all doing well. I want to take a second to say make sure to stay safe during all these times, wash your hands, and abide by CDC guidelines as much as possible. With that being said, today I want to talk about a little bit of a shorter topic, but something that I've been thinking about a lot and that has come up a lot in conversation. It's something that I think is kind of important to the way that people think, and it's something that, as I think about it more, I think could be really helpful for understanding how people view the world or just approaching people in society. Preface. Now, I do want to say before I get into this topic that I definitely won't be able to cover every facet of everything that I'm talking on. I just want to kind of show the specific topic that I'm talking about, how it impacts some people and how it kind of influences their actions, and then kind of talk about how that's kind of influenced me as well. But know that I won't be able to get to everything. I won't be able to say it all with the perfect dictation that I wish I could. And so if it seems like I'm not really covering everything in as much detail as I'd probably like to, then that's probably why. Story time. So growing up, I didn't really have much contact with groups outside of the group that I grew up in. So, there was a specific way of thinking that I grew up in, and a lot of people that I spent time with grew up in that same kind of environment or similar environments. And so a lot of the people that I knew and a lot of the people that I talked to had similar kind of life beats as to the ones that I had. We'd all gone through the same experiences. We'd all kind of shared the same ideas or beliefs about the world. And I definitely don't think this is a bad thing, but it definitely influenced the way that I thought and kind of how I grew up, especially into my high school years. And I think one of the contributing factors is that I was homeschooled. I spent a lot of time around my family and other co-op students, but there was less kind of diversity of opinion as you usually find in public school. I don't think that that was necessarily a negative, but that did influence me and kind of put me into a similar track as everybody else in experience and in knowledge and understanding throughout high school. But then slowly throughout college, I started to kind of change. For the first time, I was really kind of experiencing new perspectives, new ideas, people coming from different backgrounds than I did, and I was really starting to see the differences and these new perspectives that they brought with them. No longer were people coming from the exact same background that I was. They came from new experiences, new backgrounds, new understandings, and each of them had a different take on life, a different perspective, and different experiences that shaped how they viewed the world. During this time, I had some great friends that were really sweet, that were awesome people that shared their stories with me and helped me understand a side of the world that I'd never seen before. And I know this is a little bit more of a deep topic, a little harder topic to cover, but during college, I had a couple of the girls that I know share their stories with me of abuse and trauma. And that was something that really influenced my perspective growing up, because before that, I had no idea that people went through that kind of stuff. I had no understanding of it. I'd been told the information, but I didn't really experience the feeling of what it was like to know those stories, to hear those stories, and to have friends who had been drastically impacted by this kind of stuff. And from then on, it was like my perspective shifted. I could tell, when I would say certain things, how that would impact people and what I should avoid saying to not accidentally trigger memories or events or thoughts back to times that were traumatic for people. So it really helped me in the sense that by hearing those stories, I was able to gain new knowledge into how to understand people and to talk to people and kind of treat them in a way that would make sure that I was caring for them in the best way that I could, that I was being the best friend that I could, and making sure to, of course, not unintentionally remind people of events that were very difficult for them to experience. And it wasn't just this topic that happened in. There was a ton of things that I started to kind of understand throughout that time period, throughout college, and start to see, especially with discrimination that a lot of minorities face in America, how disabilities affect people, and how each specific person is going to experience life in a different way based off of their background or experiences or, whatever the case may be. And I will say that all of this kind of growth didn't happen overnight. It took me quite a few years of hearing a ton of different stories from a lot of different people and what they had gone through to be able to fully understand where people were coming from, how to best be their friends and, support them in the ways that I could. And I definitely don't do this perfectly. It's something that I'm still growing and learning myself. But it was definitely in college when I broke out of that kind of singular understanding that I had and realized that people experience life differently, and the whole world has different ways of experiencing life based off of their backgrounds, their history, the families that they grew up in, their race, their identity, whatever the case may be. Why this matters. What I've noticed recently is that there's a lot of people out there that really care for people. They really love people, they take care of their family really, really well, and they put a lot of effort into making a difference in other people's lives. But for some reason, it seems like sometimes there's people groups that they accidentally neglect, in the sense that they're very loving people, they're wonderful people, but somehow they're skipping over a group of people, maybe because they just don't realize what's going on or they don't understand those experiences. And it's something I've started to call blind spots. In essence, there's a lot of people out there that grow up in environments to where they only know their specific experiences. They haven't experienced what other people experience, and they don't realize that those issues are valid and that people go through them and that it's painful and that it means something to those specific people. And they may understand their own experiences, they may understand their own problems and be able to help people in those areas, but not realize that there's other groups of people out there going through very similar emotions with different backings to those emotions. So in essence, it's a blind spot in their care. And I think this concept, this idea extends to a lot of areas. There's a lot of great organizations out there, great nonprofits, great religious groups that really care about people, but for some reason there seems to be a blind spot in their perspective for helping people. Let me bring this back down to the small scale. Back to what I was talking on a second ago. When I was younger, I had no understanding for other people's experiences outside of the ones that I'd experienced myself. I really loved people, I really wanted to help people out, but I was blind to the issues that some people went through and wasn't able to help because I didn't realize that those things existed, that those issues existed. But once I was able to see those issues and realize that they were valid and something that people were, experience on a day-to-day basis, and that it was something that was really serious, it was something that I started to be able to adjust to and understand and be able to care for more, and that blind spot was removed. The point. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into this topic, and it's not something I can really cover in super detailed depth and be able to represent perfectly. When it comes to talking about discrimination and race and stuff like that, that's a really hard topic to cover, and I don't want to in any way pretend like I'm going to be able to cover it in a way that, is all-encompassing or represents everything perfectly. But basically, when it comes down to it, I think that there's a great amount of people out there that really do care, but that just haven't been taught to care in the way that matters for specific groups, especially for groups that they're not related to or they didn't grow up knowing. There's blind spots that I think everybody has. There's definitely going to be people out there that just are discriminatory, that don't care, but I think that there are genuinely people out there that do care, that want to care but just don't know how to care because they haven't been shown that those issues exist or specific issues exist. And one of the things that I try to do personally is help people like me growing up to be able to understand that there's other things going on out there, that there's other issues that people experience, or that the way that I grew up isn't the only way that people grew up, that there's different ways that everybody experienced life, and I should be aware of those things because that helps me be a better person, be able to help people more, be able to be there for them more, or say something that really hurts because it relates back to something that's really important to them or really, hard for them, which all could have been avoided if I just knew what was going on in their lives and was able to tell and be accommodating for that. And of course, I don't think there's like a perfect solution to this. It really requires a lot of grace from the people that you're approaching. I don't understand what's going on in your life, but I would you have the grace to kind of explain this to me and help me understand? It takes a lot on both parties, a lot of trust and intimacy in that case to, be able to share those kinds of things. But I had a lot of friends help me out through college and do that exact thing, have enough grace to share their stories with me and help me understand. That's really helped me become the person that I am today and understand where people are coming from. And I definitely recommend, if you have the opportunity, to approach people that that come from different backgrounds and talk to them about, their experiences and say, hey, I don't know, your background. Tell me how that's influenced you. Tell me how that's impacted you. And, if you feel comfortable, help me understand where you're coming from and kind of how your world's shaped. And at least for me, that's been super, super influential in helping me understand people and be there for people in a much more powerful and meaningful way. Conclusion. That's pretty much it for this video. There's definitely more that I could say, but I feel like keeping it concise is probably good in this case. Let me know if you have any thoughts or if you want to add on to this topic. I'll probably do more videos about this and kind of explain what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you're thinking down in those comments below. With that being said, remember to wash your hands and stay safe during all these times, and I will see you guys in the next video.